On this episode of the Real Life Caddie podcast, Zabbo and I are joined by a previous podcast guest, 2002 PGA Championship winner, Rich Beem. Beemer's a podcast fan and was a listener favourite when he last came on, so it seemed like the right thing to do to have a face-to-face chat with him while he was in town. Beemer's now working as an analyst for Sky Sports in the UK, and we discussed the world of TV, along with a host of other topics that myself and Zabbo threw at him. Rich is a wealth of knowledge, and it was a pleasure to sit down and talk all things golf. As always, we have a couple of Caddie Stories, listener mailbag questions, and our notable mentions. If you have any questions or comments, please send them in on social media or via email, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com. We recorded this episode with some new technology, so I hope the audio quality is just as good as normal. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to episode 102 of the Real Life Caddie podcast. It's called Beemer's Back because Beem Diggler's back. Welcome back, Richard.
Welcome. You were a little unsure about that for a second. You're podcast 102, and I was listening to some of your podcasts, and apparently people actually give you advice on how to do things.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, we should sit down.
You could
over
probably
the next few
give
days.
a few pointers for sure on how to get it started at least.
And if you listen to anything I have to say, then shame on both of you.
Unfortunately, I was in Arizona, and the clowns that I was out with convinced me to take the normal equipment because they said, "Hey, Sunday after the tournament, we'll do a podcast." I said, "Well, that might not be a bad idea. You would talk about what does it take to organise a golf tournament. That'd be interesting stuff."
But after 3 days of debauchery and drinking and
exactly, there was no chance that was going to happen. Well,
no.
I've come home, and about an hour before I was going to pick up Rich. I can't find the normal unit, which I've been using for 3 years. I know it very well.
Mm-hmm.
And we're now using the Roadcaster, which I bought, 2 years ago? Never used it. Still don't know how to use it. So
we can attest to that. We can both attest to that.
Hopefully the quality of the audio is just as good as normal.
Well,
but
good news is I'm a complete unit, so everything should work just swimmingly during this podcast.
Oh, you're a professional. You're a professional.
I'm a professional unit. There you go.
You still working for Sky Sports?
I am. Going eighth year now, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as I don't get fired between now and when I sign my contract here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, yeah.
You said something to me yesterday about CBS as well? No, you didn't do something with CBS?
Early in my broadcasting career, I used to sneak over to CBS every once in a while, but that hasn't happened in a few years. A little bit of a shakeup at NBC going on right now with Maltby and Gary Koch out, but it's funny, I get some text messages, "Hey, you're going to go over there?" I'm like, news to me. I don't think I'm anybody's radar except for Sky Sports, which is just dandy by me.
What about if Live Golf approached you? Would you consider going to a place like Live?
Honestly,
everybody's got a price, right?
Everybody has a price. I knew what my price was, and then funny enough though, when I say we, my wife and I were chatting about it, and she's sitting here with us not too far away.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of thought that, you know what, I'm really glad nothing came of it, and I don't know. As much as I would love to work with part of the team, David Faraday would be number one.
Yeah.
I got a couple other guys that I know very well that work for that team. I just look at Liv, and it just doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is about it, and it's not anything against the players. I think it maybe has to do a little bit more with Greg Norman, running it. I just think that people
feel that way. I
think that he's a very polarizing figure in the game, and he's abrasive, I guess, to a
Big
point.
Time.
And I'm actually glad they didn't have to make that, because I think at the end of the day, I think everybody kind of has to decide, some of the folks that went to Live, I understand why they did.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it had to do with money, but some of it also had to do with with Dustin Johnson. He just got tired of going out there and having to grind every single day. Not that he doesn't grind every single day, but having to go out there and do it 25 weeks a year. And he just, got kind of tired of it. And I don't I don't blame him at all.
You can't blame anybody to work less and make more money.
That's exactly right.
Come on, I have to play less golf and I make more money. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly. But I also look at some folks and you look at it and say, well, how much is enough? I kind of go back to the Gordon Gekko theory. Mm-hmm. How much is enough? How much more do you need? What else do you need that's going to, how many yachts can you jet ski behind? I think was the, and so I think that, so for some guys, Adam Scott's name was thrown around out there and he may still go, who knows? But I mean, here's a guy that got all of it in the world. So, I mean, what more do you need? What more do you want? Is it legacy money, life-changing? What is it for you that makes you want to go do that? And I think for me, going back to the original question, is that, you know what? The money would be fantastic. It's not like I've got enough of it, but yeah, I'm pretty content with what I got.
You're happy with where you're at.
And so I don't feel like I need to do anything to enhance what I'm comfortable doing with right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. As I always tell people, I'm not gay, but a 20's a 20. There's a price for everything.
He does always say that.
I do actually. I wouldn't mind just enough for a jet ski, never mind the yacht.
Yeah. I'll take one jet ski or one yacht.
Yeah.
Oh, I could tell one of the greatest stories of all time, but I'll save that for another day.
Oh, you can do it. You can do it for us.
Yeah.
So I've got one of my really close friends in the world. He actually rents a house out here during the winter months.
Yeah.
And he tells this horrible joke. He says, when I turn 85, I'm going to, he goes, and if I like it, boy, am I going to be pissed off. I didn't do it earlier. Yeah, anyway.
Filth. Total filth.
I just thought,
total filth.
That's just kind of funny.
It's
just like, you got to have a demented sense of humor, which
you do.
I fit right in.
When I was back home in August, I spoke to a number of people at the golf course and whatever, and they do listen to the podcast. They talked about, what was it, maybe March? When's the Arnold Palmer? Is that March?
Yeah.
So that's the last time you did it with us. And they were very complimentary about your knowledge on Sky Sports.
Oh.
So hats off to you.
Well, thank you.
I didn't know because I've been over here for the last 10 years.
I mean, I sell it really well. I don't know if what I actually say is factual, but I present it in a way that it is.
Hey, bro, we're caddies. We get that. We sell it too. We pretend like we know what we're talking about.
Selling, yeah. But no, they said that finally, if you're into watching golf on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night over there, they finally, between yourself and Coltart, they have real depth and knowledge. And it comes across very well.
That's very kind. I mean, it's interesting because Andrew takes more notes than, between him and you and Murray. They write down everything. Nick Doherty kind of does the same thing because they're the lead. And for me, being the analyst, I'll pick apart a couple of small things here and there, but I rarely write down anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
how you operate.
Yeah. And so I kind of look at it the way that I used to go play golf. For 14 years, I never carried a yardage book.
Seriously, never?
Never carried a yardage book, which was so funny because I was listening to your podcast with Kevin Streelman. You guys are doing the same number. No, my caddy would give me the pin sheet for something to look at.
Seriously?
Swear to God.
So you wouldn't worry about front edge, pin, any of that?
Oh, gosh, no. No, he would do all that for me.
Oh, but he would give you the info, though.
He'd give me the info.
Front edge, pin, adjustment.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, somebody carried the yardage book between us, yeah.
I thought you were just walking out here like, what do you think is playing?
50% of us had the actual number, but I never carried a yardage book. He did all of it, and it wasn't because I didn't. It more had to do with the fact that I didn't want to do it. I mean, to me, it was a distraction. When I got to golf ball, I wanted to see what was going on out in front of me. I didn't want to have to look down and look at anything on the piece of paper. I want to look at, what do I see? Do I see this bunker? Do I see the swale in the green? Do I see where it's at? Where the tree's doing, so on and so forth. And so what I've kind of found is that I kind of prepare for what I do in Sky Sports the same way. I want to, I'll look at a couple of numbers, especially going into the weekend with the leaders and what they're doing. But for the most part, I want to see their body language. I want to see what their demeanor is. I want to see how their communication with their caddy. I want to see all of that because that to me kind of tells me exactly where they're at spatially wise and what's going through their minds and who's going to succeed and who's not going to succeed.
Wow. So are you talking about one particular caddy you had, or you're saying like how many caddies did you have in your? That was always the case. Like if you had a new caddy, you'd just say, okay, I'll trust your numbers, or
No, I mean, but I really had new caddies. I mean, I had the same guy for almost 14 years.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started out, I mean, I carried a yardage book, but I mean, I don't know. It never enthused me.
Gotcha.
The only reason I kept them is because, like, hey, I got a yardage book. Gorgeous George.
Why you have a caddy? Get your
yardages.
yardages.
Yeah.
What's the worst Caddie story you have?
Oh, Jesus.
Wait a sec. Last time.
What, Jesus caddied for you?
No.
I thought he'd been really good.
I told you
Last
this
time.
story yesterday.
I know, that's why I want you to
I
tell
told
it
you
again.
the story yesterday.
Okay, let's hear it.
This is a bell for Zabbo.
I know. So this poor guy,
Can we name names? What's his name?
his name is Davey.
Okay.
Davey. You don't need second names. Come on. How many times
Davey.
do we use proper names?
And I feel I listen. Good. I still I hope he's doing well. If he's listening to this podcast, I hope he's doing great. But I was, when we were living at our old place in Austin, cross street neighbor was from England, and a few years beforehand, so I got back on the European tour, or went to the European tour in 2012, and before that, I don't know what year it was. A couple, 2-3 years before that, met this guy that was a friend of my neighbor. And he's a caddy over there. And he said that he caddied for professionals. And so I kind of thought he was tour caddy, out there. And
caddy for pros.
Exactly, caddy for pros. When I was going over to Europe, I got a phone call from my neighbor and said, "Hey, listen, would you have any interest in hiring Davey?" I said, "Remind me who he is again?" And he says, "Oh, yeah,
guys who caddy for pros.
Caddy professionals." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd love to have him." So we chatted, nice little rapport back and forth about a month before we're out there. And what I found was, though, is that when we got to the driving range on Tuesday in Spain, he was in awe of all the professionals that were on the driving range. And he caddied for professionals, but at his home club.
Oh.
And, he, again, super nice guy, but he, towards the tail end of my career, I needed somebody that was competent, that had been there and had done that. And he was ready to, basically show me, hey, this is what's going on the European tour. But he hadn't been a professional caddy on the European tour at all.
Or the PGA tour.
And so I was, so unfortunately, after Friday's round, I didn't tell you this yesterday, G.
Okay.
But I went back into the clubhouse, and there's a keg of beer, and I think I drank most of it. And then
this was your first tournament with the guy?
First tournament.
I'm guessing first and last.
And then we decided to go somewhere else, and finally we got to the second place we were going, and I was already pie-eyed. I mean, I was in no condition to do anything, but I just said, "Davey, you're fired." What? And he broke down, and he was crying, and he was just like, and I was like, "Oh my God, can I get another bottle of Jack Daniels here, please?" And I just felt horrible for him, because he gave up a lot to come out there with me, but I'm like, "Davey, there is no guarantees as a caddy that you're going to make it past 1 week."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, you certainly weren't what I was looking for, and wasn't what I needed.
Yeah.
And it just started my European tour campaign off on the wrong foot in a big way, and which is disappointing on so many levels. But, again, I've got no issue with the man. He was a little bit out of his element, and unfortunately, it showed, and we never clicked.
No. Do you know what? It's funny, because I've done a podcast episode with my pal Craney, who he's now in PGA Tour, but he was European Tour for 15 years now. And it's interesting that different players at different parts of their career are looking for something new, different.
Of course.
So he said he got really lucky because the first few years he carried for young pros. And I know myself, I was super keen. I wasn't in awe of these guys, because working out here, growing up back home, we've been around big money people, politicians, TV people, whatever, right? Pro golfers. So I always thought Poulter was a prick. And then it was, confirmed once you actually meet the guy and get to know him. But I remember making a couple of mistakes that I didn't think about, because, so for example, my player misses the green to the right-hand side, but the next tee is off to the left. So he grabs a wedge. I put the bag down on the left-hand side of the green, where we'll walk off, and grab his putter, and we go over to the shot, and he's changed his mind of what type of shot he wants to hit. And he just gives me the eagle eye, just raging that the full set of clubs aren't there, so I now have to walk 30 seconds back. He was really pissed off at that. This is a guy who was slightly older and had probably had 4 or 5 caddies in his career. Yeah. And that's a rookie mistake to make. But yeah, Davey was obviously the wrong guy for you.
Well, I mean, it just wasn't, it was clearly obvious from the get-go. I remember calling Sarah up, probably even on Wednesday going, oh my God, this is not going to end well. And I was dreading it. If you're going to go out there and play professionally, you need to not go out there and dread it.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I mean, it's just not good for anybody. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't even know, to be fair, I don't even know how many mistakes he did or did not make, that week. I just know that everything he did was irritating. And it probably had nothing to do with him, but it just I knew it wasn't going to work out. Yeah. And so it was just like, oh, jeez.
Well, as a special surprise for you, I actually tracked him down last night.
He
works down the road, so he'll be joining us for the last 10 minutes.
I cannot wait
to see him. He's actually a caddy
at
Cypress Point now, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
What's been happening in your life, Zabbo? Caddie stories from the last few weeks?
Caddie stories. Well, since we got Beemer here, I got to tell the one. We had Paul, your good friend Paul, in town the other.
Paul.
Yeah, Paul Tremonto with Jimmy Dooling. So we get to the first tee and got this guy who comes up to the first tee and pick up the bag, and he's got this nice Scotty Cameron Circle T putter and no head cover in him. I'm like, what's going on here, buddy? You got no head cover for your Circle T? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And we get down the hole, and his buddy's talking to him. It's Joe Ogilvy. So caddying for Joe Ogilvy, and as G has done for the past year and a half, he makes fun of me for my hole-in-one that I had.
Oh, brilliant.
The whole podcast.
Do you know the story?
You probably don't, but...
I don't think so, no.
So, I had a hole-in-one.
You had a hole-in-one at the hay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That counts.
Guess how far?
It counts.
Of course it does.
Beemer says it counts. Of course it does. It's a golf course with tee markers.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Oh, listen to this.
I see. I apologize. So you say that all the hole-in-ones made in the par 3 course at the Masters don't count.
Ooh, that's a good one, Rich.
They don't count. They're not significant at all.
Yes.
I'm going to say they're a little bit more significant because there is a scorecard in your hand. It's a small tournament. I don't think they're claiming them on the no, they're not claiming them. No. You have 9 opportunities to make a hole-in-one. Are there 12 holes at that?
No, there's only 9.
Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking 12.
Yeah.
No, it still doesn't count. Sorry.
So regardless.
48 yards. 42?
It was 48. Get your numbers right. So regardless.
48 yards.
Regardless.
On a course, you play how many times a week?
I don't really play it that often.
Listen,
I used to.
That's a hard number to hit.
It is, exactly.
42 yards. That's a hard number.
Yeah, it's not like you're just...
You don't even need a book for that. You don't need a rangefinder. I can spit further than that.
I knew the front edge.
Oh, I'll take the under on that big time.
So you'll take... you think it's okay?
I think you can spit way less than that. There's no chance you can spit over 42 yards.
Okay.
So regardless, caddying for Joe, it went good. We had a good day. So we caddying for him the next day, and we're walking down the hole, and I was like, "Hey, Joe, how was your evening last night?" And he's like, "Oh, we had dinner at the hay." He goes, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, great." And he's playing this off great. He's like, "Yeah, we had dinner at the hay. It was great food, He goes, did you see that post Alan Shipnuck had a few weeks ago? And Shipnuck, Shipnuck, he wrote a book about you. He had a hole-in-one at the hay, but you can't really count it as a hole-in-one because it's under 100 yards. And I'm like, Joe, get out of here. I know G put you up there. He's like, what are you talking about? And he's playing it off. I'm like, yeah,
it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
He set it up so good. He's like, yeah, we're just having dinner at the hay. I'm like, oh, how was it? And he's like, yeah, well, Alan Shipnuck had a hole-in-one there, but you can't count it as a hole-in-one because it's a par 3 course.
And then we're walking in the 5th. I'm having a bit of a chat. He says, have you got your rangefinder? I went, yeah. He says, how far is it from here? I gunned it. 51. He took 3 more paces. He shouts, Zabbo, chip it in from here. He had a good sense of humor, actually.
He did. But there was no tee marker there in my defense.
Zabbo says to me, he goes, oh, do you know who Joe is? And I went, yeah, it's Bob's brother-in-law. I had no idea who he was.
Yeah. Joe Ogilvy had a pretty good career. I mean,
decent player. Do you know him well?
Yeah.
Good lad.
He's a Texas guy, isn't he?
He is. Austin guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the first day, he kind of just thought we were I wouldn't say plebs, but he's like, oh, yeah, good stuff. And then he texted a couple of people we know. And the following day, he's like, all right, okay, they're not just full of it because it's not, you're not, oh yeah, I know him really well. But you don't. You met him once type thing.
Oh, really? That never happens.
My boy Rich. My boy Tim. We had one. I had the loop I had at Del Monte.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
the guy starts. He starts telling me.
Is that the one where he told his wife? Goes,
yeah.
Can you tell him?
Yeah. That was the
bag up.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
But he'd asked if I worked in the tournament. I says, yeah, I had a pro named Tim O'Neill. He goes, Tim O'Neill?
It's my boy.
Oh, it's my boy Tim. Oh, I used to live with him down in Savannah. I went live with him in the same house. He went, no. Well, we lived in the same neighborhood. I played golf with him all the time. I text him. I says, do you know this guy? He goes, I don't know that fool.
Exactly.
So, but call him my boy Tim.
Listen, I think that is the one thing that goes without doubt. I mean, do you remember me? No.
What's worse than that as caddies is people come back the next year, you caddy. You remember that shot I hit here on this whole last year? It's like, bro, I've caddied for 400 people since I saw you last, and I've seen 8,000 golf shots. I had no idea what you hit last year.
That's the great thing about this week, though. We're here for the TaylorMade Pebble Beach Invite Week, and I mean, I get a chance to meet guys that have been coming here for over 20 years now. You see the same guys, and yet you build a rapport with them, and it's just like no other. And you're like, yeah, I do remember that shot. I do remember that circumstance. I do remember the hole-in-one that my buddy Matt Schwab made on number 7 at Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
There you go.
Certain shots you actually, before when you were trying to organize this podcast and it wasn't going so well, I was rehashing with Rich. One of my first years here, he was actually in my group, and he was having fun with the group. He was having a few beverages, and
I think that we actually
polite, Rich. You were lit.
Are you sure bought the cart?
Yeah, it was.
Well, my father-in-law was on the bag,
and he was lit,
and he needs to be entertained.
Yeah.
So I was just along for the ride.
It was crazy. And so we get to the 16th hole, and we didn't even talk about this. You called the shot before you hit it. I don't know if you remember this.
I do remember that.
And you're swaying over the golf ball, and he's like, I got 87 yards. He's like, if I hit this full, it's just going to spin off the green. He's like, F it, I'm just going to knock it in. And like you were swaying over the ball. And
I was getting my vibe.
He was feeling it. And then he steadies himself, strike, and he goes, that's in the hole. That's in the hole. He starts walking back, and it goes in for 2. So he makes it 2 on 16. Starts running around, high-fiving everybody. He goes, Chumby. I'm caddying for my guy, Dan Chumbler. He's like, I'm going 2-2. I'm going 2-2 on 16 and 17. And if I go 2-2, you're wearing a 2-2 to dinner tonight. So he gets to the 17th hole, and he's on the tee. This is Rich.
Was I swaying still?
Big time sway. I mean,
wow. You know what? There must have been some music going on because, you have one eye looking one way, the other eye looking the other. But you steadied yourself again. Who was that guy from Young Frankenstein? Marty Felt? No. You had one eye going this way, the other guy in this Young Frankenstein.
That was you, Rich.
You know what we say in Scotland? We say one eye is going for the shopping and the other is coming home with the change.
But anyway, so 17th tee. He steadies himself, stripes it. He goes, oh, that's in. He starts walking back, ends up like 12 inches away, tapping. He goes, you're wearing a 2-2 to dinner. So it's pretty classic.
You travel with a tutu just in case that happens?
Well, I do. I mean, it's just, I also have various different wigs, some fun socks and whatnot, fake beard, all that. Yeah, just in case anything happens.
For the occasion.
We are close to San Francisco, so that kind of thing goes. Yeah. I actually, Joe Ogilvie as well, you love this one. He tried to play the pro on 14. So he's caddying. You've got the 2 lads.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
And then I'm caddying for Paul's wife, Fran. And she has a putt in 14.
And he tries to give her a read.
Ogilvie's over. Hey, Fran, you got to head out here. And she's about to pull the trick. I went, Fran, stop you there. He's wrong. This is what you need to do.
You told a Duke grad he was wrong?
Yes.
Ooh, exactly. I know.
Ooh.
What's Duke? Never heard of her. And I then obviously give
We're
her a bit
close to
more,
San Francisco, right?
Exactly. Give a little bit more break. I don't know if she made it or missed it. She went, you were right.
Yeah.
I went, aye. But in all fairness, on 18, I give her the read in 18. She's about to pull the trigger.
Yeah, he gave right back.
He went, hey, listen, I'll stop you there. I went, aye, listen, I'll crack the jokes around here, Joe. But nice lad, actually.
He was.
Does finance now or something.
Mm-hmm.
Using his Duke
graduate, yes.
University degree.
Exactly.
Good for him. Somebody asked me this week, because I told him you were going to be on.
Mm.
And he said,
Uh-oh.
He wanted to know what you actually talk about on the course with your caddies and other players. Is it all serious, or is it like a bounce game when you're talking shite about shite?
Yep. Second part, yeah.
Second part.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever held serious conversations on the golf course with my caddy. Lasted for maybe a minute.
Yeah.
And that was about it. I just don't think that ever existed. I mean, it was that's just not in our DNA. And even with other players, other caddies, I mean, I'm not out there for serious conversation. I'm out there to be entertaining and all that. And, funny enough, there's a lot of players didn't quite see my humor in life.
I can believe that.
And so, but I got along with caddies great. And so the caddies, we always had a nice, rapport and conversation with other caddies, but the players never quite so much, but no, it was never serious.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to figure a lot of those guys are very serious when they're playing, right? The actual players, or a lot of those guys like to cut it up.
Listen, when you're out there playing, it is quote unquote serious, but you can't do that for 5 straight hours out there and not sit there and notice some of the dumb things.
Yeah.
Right. One of the funnier stories I've got is that one year, I want to say about 3 or 4, something like that. Tiger and I made the cut on the number at the Western Open at Cog Hill. And of course there's 900,000 people, out there at 8:00 in the morning when we're teeing off. Pretty warm day. First hole, dog leg from right to left. Tiger hits it out to the right. Whatever happens. And so he hits the second shot. I hit my second shot. And we're walking up towards the green. And Tiger comes up to me and goes, "Hey, Beemer, look at that." He goes, "Look at that guy. Look at that guy over there with that umbrella." And there was a African-American carrying this rainbow umbrella, and he goes, "All the people that carried an umbrella out here, why does it have to be that guy? Why can't it be somebody else?" And I just sat there and just go, "Jesus, Tiger." And it was just, it was just funny, I mean, it was just, and it's not like he and I ever palled around or anything like that, but it's not all serious out there.
So even for a guy like that,
for a guy like that, who I think ended up, if he didn't win that week, he certainly finished, top 2 or 3, but it was just like, that's just, sometimes that's just what it is.
You have to.
You see somebody out in the crowd, you're just like,
come on.
That's just, that's just
funny.
Funny. It's just funny.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great point that all amateurs, especially aspiring young golfers wanting to be professionals, they need to understand that 4.5, 5 hours, you can't be silent.
Yeah.
You can't be.
Move it up a little.
Like when I remember when Wee Neal was trying to qualify for the first the pure insurance.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago,
mm-hmm.
we played the first 3 holes and we're waiting in the 4th. And these 2 guys that we're with, super serious, didn't say a word, nothing. And we went into caddy mode. We're like, "Where are you from? Where you guys saying?"
What do you do for a living?
And I tell you, I think by the end, we'd almost been talking too much. We took their mind off of the game.
Started playing golf, yeah.
No, they were playing shite, actually. But
they're happy at least.
Well, yeah, it just kind of goes back to VJ Singh back in the day when VJ would tell his caddy, Paul Tesori, "You're not allowed to talk to anybody." Couldn't talk to any other player, couldn't talk to any other caddy, this and that. And he and Tiger got paired one Saturday at the Masters, and Joe LaCava knew this. And so they're walking down the first hole, and Joe's just barking at Tesori going, "Hey, Paul, what'd you do for dinner last night? Hey, buddy, how's it going? How's the family? Everything going good?"
Yes.
And VJ can hear this because Joe's not being quiet about it. He can hear this. And finally on the putting green, VJ finally looks over at Joe and says, "You're doing this on purpose, right?" He goes, "Yeah, because your rules are stupid." Yeah. And he goes, "Yeah, but that's okay." It's just,
but they're my rules.
That's exactly right. And so, I've played with VJ a number of times as well. And sure enough, one time he had a caddy that was not supposed to talk to us. And I'm sitting there on the 15th tee box just going, "Hey, you married? You got any kids or whatnot?" He goes, "I'm not supposed to talk to you." "I know, because you haven't said anything all day, but we've got a 20-minute wait here. So I'm going to ask you questions." And I was just like, come on, man. This is
ridiculous. What's the reason behind that?
Who
knows?
VJ.
That's absurd, isn't it?
VJ.
For the caddy to even listen to him, like, "Listen, I promise you, I'm going to do the best job I'm going to do for you.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, but
I'm a human being. I got to talk to other humans."
Of course.
That's absurd.
Of course.
That's one of the most absurd things I've ever heard. In saying that, I have heard it in the amateur game as well. Some of the people we caddy for. Don't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
I've got to concentrate here. Yeah. Find someone else on the bench here.
Yeah, exactly.
Hack. We're going to take a very short break because I need to put a jacket on. Rich needs a beer. And I want to double check this is recording. Right back.
How the English say that? Happy?
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 Well, yeah, if you're not happy, we can do something to change.
Yeah, but they don't do that in the U.S. When you're on TV, they don't even ask you. Happy?
Oh, they don't?
No, they just say, it comes out a little bit differently.
Heathens. Heathens. We got another question here. What's the difference between a good and a very good caddy?
Ooh.
There you go.
First, define good. We got to define good first.
I have no idea.
Did any of your caddies ever read putts, or was it just yardage?
No, you know what? I actually went kind of back and forth even with my regular caddy. Like sometimes I'd have him read the putts and sometimes I wouldn't. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
I think that, you get into a rut where you just don't feel like you're quite hitting the lines, so you bring him in, and then other weeks you feel like, you know what, I got this right now. And it was kind of hit or miss. We just kind of played it by ear, to be fair. I mean, it wasn't trust me, there was no scientific anything going on between Billy and I. I think between a good and a great caddy, it's probably the difference between a good and a great player.
Yeah.
I mean, what makes a great caddy? Great player does. I mean, seriously. I mean, it's too funny because I think there's a lot of great caddies out there, but they're not recognized for what they do is because they're not with a great player.
Yeah. Good point. Really
I think a good caddy does the basics.
Cleans the golf ball, cleans the golf clubs.
And a very good caddy, does that slightly better.
Well, I think I think there's also a difference between, I think, the relationship between player and caddy, because could you say that there's any great caddies that ever worked for Vijay Singh? I mean, there's only one. Paul Tesori, I think is a great caddy because he did everything that was asked for him and then some. But I bet
Vijay Singh wouldn't agree.
Well, yeah, and then
it was only
he also had. I mean, but he also had caddies before him too that I would consider great. But now he's got good caddies, and he's playing good, but he's not playing great.
Yeah.
Who was the caddy he had? Wee Scottish guy,
Davey. Yeah, David.
Different Davey.
Different Davey. Yeah, different Davey. Yeah, great. Oh yeah, such a good guy.
He was with him when he won 8 in the one calendar year, 8 tournaments.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to know him. I think he's dead now, unfortunately. But
yeah, he has passed away.
The name might come back to me.
He actually worked for Jose Maria Olazabal.
Okay.
And after the Masters, when Jose won it, supposed to play, I want to say in either France or Spain, like 3 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
Jose shows up to the tournament, and Davey's not there. And so his agent, Sergio, calls up, says, Davey, where are you at? I'm at home. Well, why aren't you here? We need you here because you haven't paid me.
For the Masters win?
Didn't pay him. So he's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
You haven't paid me? Not leaving.
Yeah.
No, we take care of it. No.
Wow.
You pay me.
Wow.
I get my money. Then I show up.
This was after he
won the Masters.
Wow.
This is like 2 or 3 weeks after he won the Masters. I'm not leaving the house until you pay me.
True caddy.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's a good point. But you know who the worst tippers in the world are?
Professional golfers.
No.
Name Rich Beem.
Canadians. Oh.
Nationalities.
Oh, You said Canadians.
I'll give you five goes for the top 3.
I'm a German. It's got to be close.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, we don't caddy for many Germans. We don't get many Germans.
Okay.
Well, you just mentioned one.
Japanese.
Oh.
Koreans.
Where's Jose Maria Olazabal?
Oh, Spain. Really?
Jose Maria Olazabal.
Really?
Japan.
Spain.
We're right on Japan.
You know, Jimenez. His nickname with the caddies is Crime.
You know
because
why?
crime doesn't pay.
Crime doesn't pay.
Honestly, that's a well-known story in Europe that twice he was pulled up by the European Tour because he did not pay his caddy the full amount.
Well, there's also
on 2 occasions.
That list is long and distinguished as well here in the United States of America with American players. So that's no surprise.
I'll not torture you much longer, but I'll call you France, Italy, Spain, the worst tippers on the planet.
France, Italy, and Spain.
Yes,
interesting.
Jimenez, shocking. Why do you think that is? Why are sports people? Because we'll get it. American footballers are okay. Major League Baseballers are awful tippers.
No way.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Are they really?
I've caddied for a handful, and I could name them that were great tippers.
Yeah, because I would have the guys that I know from Major League Baseball. Yeah,
mostly Major League players. Mostly pitchers, and they've all been pretty good. I mean, John Lester, John Lackey.
Jake
Arrieta.
So Lackey and Arrieta are both members at UT Golf Club, and they would give you the everything.
Great dudes.
They would give you everything if you had. I mean, yeah. I mean, those are two of the salt of the earth people that I know of. So I mean that's not a shock right there.
Why do you think any golf pros who win are then cheap?
That's a great question. Maybe sometimes it's their upbringing where they never had a lot, and so they're trying to hold on to it for as long as they possibly can. Or
I think that's the case with Kuchar and El Tucan.
Oh,
let's not go there. To be fair, I don't know. I mean, I never understood how to tip anybody until I met my friend Jack out of Chicago, Jack Salerno, and he taught me everything about tipping. Okay. And it was just like, oh my gosh, and greatest guy in the world. And there's stories about last weekend about I went up to go see my son at University of Minnesota, and I needed to get some people into a bar, so tip them.
Happens.
The waitress, I needed her to come around a little more often, so I tipped her. I needed a couple of things, so I tipped. And it's not nearly as much as my kids claim it was. and my wife is sitting to the left of me going, yeah, that's
her head.
No, it truly wasn't. But it's doing the right thing for the right people at the right time. And it's just, I to be fair, so I don't know why professional caddies or professional golfers would not pay their caddies what they're worth and why it would take so long. I have been guilty about not paying a caddy for, maybe a little bit too long because, and this is just as of late because I've been on the road. I don't have their account and I can't just wire it to them. So I have to cut them a check and it just gets kind of lost in the shuffle, but it's not like I'm ever cheap either. I give them
what you agree,
what we agree to, and usually more than that.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm caddying for you this weekend, so don't be guilty of that.
Take your time on paying.
You know what? I'd say, funny enough, I'll send you the bill for my hour's time here too. So there you go.
That's true.
By the time you leave, it'll be 2 hours. Trust me. What's your best or most memorable reaction to misreading a putt? And don't try and say you've never misread
himself
a putt.
or from himself.
So
or, from his caddy.
I don't know about a putt.
Have you ever mean mugged your caddy after giving you a bad read? Like,
you ever chewed your boy
hands
out
up in the air and be like, "Yo, what were you thinking?"
Listen, there, not in a million years would I ever blame my caddy for a bad shot because there's only one person that caused that shot to happen, and that's the guy. That's the guy in the mirror, right?
That might change this week.
No. So I'll just go back to the worst shot I've ever hit. And this is exactly where the caddy part of it would come in because he looked at me like I had 14 heads. At Doral, number 8, the par 5, before they changed it. I was over the back of the green and 2, and the pin was all the way in the back. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have had 18 feet to the hole. And I was just in like the second cut, but I was up against the big rough, and it just is 18 feet away. And I thought, I'll take out this little 7-wood, just bump it right down there and get it close that way. I was already playing pretty good.
Yeah.
And when I hit it, my caddy just goes, sit. It almost went into the water 80 feet away. It was the worst shot I'd ever hit. To this day, it's still the worst shot. I'm like going, that was pathetic. And we got it up and down. He just looks at me and goes, nice chip. Or nice 7-wooder. I mean, it was just like
good call there, Rich.
I mean, you can't blame your caddy for a missed putt or a missed shot. I mean, you're the only one that's in control of that golf club, and once it leaves your golf club, now Mother Nature's in control of it. So, exactly. I mean, I think that anybody that blames their caddy for something like that, I think they're worthless.
Wow, love that.
I'm going to need to carry like a tape of Rich saying this around on the course when I caddy because this happens so often where
every day
they just throw their hands up like, what were you thinking there? You said 120 yards. Well, I didn't know you were going to blade it under the wind and hit it in.
And that's just it. It's just like, wait a second here, guys.
Come on. Let's be real.
Let's be realistic about this one. I mean, unfortunately, in your guys' business, especially where you caddy, it's never gonna go your direction. And the guy goes, oh, man, that was so bad. Great read. And I mess it up. But putts miss all the time. Look at the greens. Look at the imperfections of what they're doing. I mean, look at the imperfections of everything out there. They're insane.
Agreed.
They're insane.
I played in a scramble on Saturday, and we're all hitting the same putt from 10 feet. We all missed. We're all watching it. Just shite
Grass
putters.
isn't perfect. Yeah.
No, we're not very good.
That's true.
I had a boy, last week? And he said, I said inside left. And of course, he missed it left. And he's like, oh, no, I never broke. I was straight. I went, whoa. Come here. Come on. No, let's talk about this. You're a smart guy. You went to Duke. I'm like,
you and I are going to get along great.
I said, inside left. And you ended up outside. I said, so either you pulled it, or it breaks that way. Or that's where you hit it. Yeah. He went, oh, okay. Yeah, whatever. Move on. You did tell me a good story yesterday about the yardage, the strangest yardage.
Oh, you're going to love this one. Again, going back to Billy, my boy, 14 years. And I think it was like 2017, we decided, you know what? Houston is the week after the match play, which is in Austin, Texas now, which is where we live. And since then, my caddy he decided in 2014 to go out and get his pilot's license.
Nice.
And now he is certified pilot on every Citation jet known to man. He can sit left seat. Oh yeah, he is the man.
Wow. I should be doing my flight on Monday morning.
This is Billy or Caddy?
Yeah, Bill Heim. Yeah, man. He's the man. He flies Citations. He flies King Airs, all left seat, and he's taken to it like a duck to water, and he's amazing. Flown with him many times, right seat, and it's just been awesome.
That's cool.
So he flew us over there in 2017 to Houston for the Monday qualifier. And knowing full well that we're just going to go spend a day there just to basically hang out and catch up as friends. But, never know, catch lightning in a bottle and maybe something will happen. So we fly over there on Monday morning, knowing full well we're not going to fly back until Tuesday. And so we land and go have lunch, a couple margaritas, a couple beers as well. Need to get warmed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we go out to the golf course and make par on the first hole and get up to the second hole. Again, I'm not carrying a yardage book. He paces it off and he says, all right, you get 78 to the hole. And I'm like, all right, it's just on top of that shelf. I said, at the lob wedge, it's going to spin back in a little 50 degree. He goes, yeah, it's perfect. Just past the hole, doink, doink, spin it right back in the hole.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Two.
Go back up, or get to the green, and goes, 14 years we're together. How many times do you think I ever gave you a bad number? I don't know. One. He goes, I'm going to say 0. I'm like, I can go with that. I can go along with that in a hurry. Like, why do you say that? He goes, you had 92 yards. I said, so we were just 14 yards off, and I just made it from there. He goes, yeah. I go,
you're a good field player.
I'm like, this is going to be awesome. Needless to say, we didn't make it, but it was just one of those things. So if you take that story as a caddy and you tell it to these guys that you're like, listen, a professional golfer was told a 14-yard difference and he still made it. Seriously. I'm sorry, guys, but this is an imperfect game, and it's
agreed.
Yeah. So
I caddied for a group from Houston, maybe only about 4 or 5 weeks ago. There was one guy who was very good. I could tell he was very good. And he came up short in the first, and he came up short in the second, and he came up dreadfully short in the third hole. And he's going, I just caught that fat. Oh, the ball just doesn't fly out here.
Oh God, I know that guy.
No. It was me.
No, I know, but I know. I
had the yardage in meters.
Oh, you were yards, that guy.
So I'm 10% below every time. Because I'm looking at it going, like he hit that. He's saying he hit it shite, and I'm going, that was pure. I can hear pure from shite. And I look back through the scope, and it went meters. I never even told him. I was like, oh wait, no.
We want to double check your numbers this week, Rich.
No, we get the Bushnell. We get the Bushnell now.
Oh yeah, there's no yardage book out there. It's just me, and it's temporarily, or sorry, it's full time on yards, not meters.
Yes. I also gave a pro the wrong red circle. No, it was red, yellow, red, yellow. I gave him, it was the wrong bush that I was taking the number from.
Oh, from
20-yard difference. And he dropped another one to hit a provisional. And the other player, another caddy in the group, realised and were looking at me going,
don't do it.
And I'm going, they're telling me to stop him. I'm in the middle of this, and I'm going, if I tell him I'm sacked, and I didn't have the backbone to like pull him off.
Was it Coulthard?
No.
Please tell me it's Coulthard.
No, it wasn't him.
Please tell me it's Coulthard.
Can't tell you that.
Did he find out?
But you know, it was that point. I don't know. I'd be like 25. I don't care who it is now. Like if it's the wrong number, it's the wrong number. You know what I mean? Or even if I think it's the wrong number, we're stopping because the stress is that it's just no. And that's what I said to you yesterday. There's too many numbers in the book.
There are too many numbers in the book. Get away with the books.
Mark was saying that the books in Europe are much better than the ones over here because
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are, but it's still, there's so much information in them, and you just get...
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, I get a headache from them. Yep. I get a headache thinking about them.
It's crazy.
They cost $50, I think.
They're pricey. Thank God they banned the
if you wanted
Stack-A-Line books and all those. I mean,
those are $200. Those are $200 for
I'm
the
glad
Greens
they banned
books.
those.
How far did using the rangefinders actually go? Because I know they trialed it, didn't they?
Oh, we're still, the PG of America is going to allow them for, I think, the rest of the days. And it's funny because it's when it first was known that rangefinders were going to be allowed at the PGA Championship, I was like, oh, that's going to slow it down. How do you figure? You know, because some guys are going to hit it so far offline that they're not going to be able to. So the player, does the rangefinder and the caddy does the walking, and then you just kind of split the difference. And then some guys were like, well, if it's 151 versus 150, which one do I believe? I'm like, oh my
Come on, bro.
God.
Feel it.
Pound my head into the sand. But I'd tell you what, if you take the yardage books away and you just, you go by basically feel and or what the rangefinder says, I think it speeds it up.
And you probably see little to zero variance in the scores.
Yeah, exactly
100%, right? I mean,
yeah. Take your own notes beforehand and, use it from years gone by or whatnot, but just use the rangefinder and be done with it.
I don't know what they're waiting for. Didn't Live just enough? Live's allowing that now, aren't they? They're allowing rangefinder.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I was going to say to you, I heard a rumor this week that
I like rumors.
Live are going to do a televised Monday qualifier of something that golf perverts in this country have been wanting for a long time because the quality of the golf at Monday qualifiers is actually very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers, there was a boy listed this week, Batty, of Indian descent, but an American. He turned up at a tournament.
Ashgate 62.
Shot at 62. Now that's good shooting, isn't it? Because that's now you get
stick.
Now you get your guys who really are hungry, maybe for 5-10 spots. Would you, working in television, do you think that's something that should be televised?
Oh, Monday qualifiers, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good players out there that go through these Monday qualifiers that are true sticks. Some of the numbers they produce are wild, but again, though, that's a lot of manpower. I know exactly what it takes to put on to actually do a production. It's a lot of cameras. It's a lot of man hours. It's a lot of work to get that to happen, and sometimes it's not worth it.
I know because I've spoken to you and also a couple of guys we know do the cameras. But for the listeners, to do a normal, middle of the road tournament, how many cameras do they need? On course people.
There's got to be 50 cameras, probably minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 50 of them, but it's the amount of wires you need, the cable that you need to go from point A to point B, because it's not RF, which is radio frequency cameras, which doesn't. We're still using radio frequency to do all of our headsets. So we're looking for a radio frequency when we're on the golf course to try and find out, to do our job. And that's the most archaic way of doing it in this day and age, but that's what we got. So to do all that, I mean, you're talking about at least a minimum of 2 days setup. So it's not like these guys can go from Sunday of one tournament and then show up on Sunday night and ready to go on Monday. They need to be there on Saturday just to be ready to go by Monday. It's much more difficult than
it's not. Because for every mobile camera, you have the cameraman, and then you have a lackey that's carrying the camera and the batteries as well. Correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it is definitely a traveling circus where You have so many people in the background that do all kinds of work. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
Then you got the production trailers, and you have all that.
Bellevue. Where's that?
Isn't that an insane asylum in the UK?
Very close.
Bellevue?
No, Belmarsh.
Belmarsh, okay.
Yeah, it's where
Bellevue
I met
is
my wife.
Washington, I know that, but anyway.
She was my therapist. Bellevue's in Washington.
Bellevue is in Washington.
And someone texted me and they said, rumor has it, you love rumors.
I love rumors.
Okay. Rich Beem went into a dealership in Bellevue looking to buy a Porsche.
Ooh, his wife's nodding. This
They-
could be a true story.
They
true story.
They ignored him because they didn't think he was a serious buyer.
Ooh.
So we went down the street and bought a 911. Is that right? No?
Actually, I didn't buy a 911, but we went into a place.
Bought a Fiat Punto.
Exactly. Monday after the PGA, get up to Seattle late that night on Sunday night. I mean, got 2 hours of sleep maybe. And my closest friend in the world, best man at my wedding, who I met while working up at Magnolia Hi-Fi in Bellevue, Washington, decided, we're going to go out for a day and just, spend a few hours together. And Sarah knew that I was looking for a car. I was always an exotic car and things like that. And so we go to this place called Park Place or Car. Yeah, I think it's Park Place. Anyways, had all the toys, Porsches, Ferraris, you name it, they had it. And I showed up, and back when cargo shorts were the in thing, not ever, but that's exactly what I was wearing.
So I'll be wearing this weekend.
Cargo shorts and a sweatshirt, hoodie, sweatshirt and whatnot. And clearly I was a little bit worse for the wear, but I mean, it was on such a massive high. It didn't even matter. But
so this is right after.
Yeah, I mean, like this is Monday after. I mean,
Gotcha.
this is,
So
and so
directly after.
yeah, and so less than 24 hours, I'm inside this car dealership, and I just gotten a phone call from my finance guy of all people. I'm like, geez, I just want to go have some fun for a day. I don't want to go put everything away for a rainy day. We're on the call because we need to pay taxes right away on a couple of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was on the phone with him for a lot longer than I wanted to be. That's for sure. Probably about 20 minutes. But then I, came back in, and I was looking around, and not a single person came up to me.
Not one car salesman.
Not one
Wow.
car salesman. I walked in, and then I turned around and I walked back out, and I had my buddy David with me, and somebody asked him a question, but then they kind of blew him off, and which is really kind of strange because that's the Microsoft geek place of the world where all these guys are Microsoft dorks, and they're making more money than what they do with. Mm-hmm. And it's not like they're all classy dressers. It's not, I mean, they're programmers. I walked in, and I was looking around. There's a couple of cars that caught my eye, and I was looking around, and not a single person was interested in helping me out. So we spent about another 15, 20 minutes in there and turned around, walked right out. And my biggest regret, though, is not walking across the street over to the BMW dealership where they had the Z8s.
Oh, yeah. Pick up one of those and then do donuts in the parking
lot.
The
Z8s with which is they're now worth 3 times what they were selling back then. You could have bought it for under $100,000 back then, and now they're going for minimum $250,000, if not more. Most beautiful car I've ever seen. That's my one biggest regret, not buying myself back in the day. But I never knew. I mean, I was
your whole life, and that was your biggest regret.
I didn't say it was my biggest regret. It's a regret. So I went back and I bought my wife a nice piece of jewelry, and then I bought myself a Ford F-150 Ford F-150 King Ranch Edition.
Nice.
Oh,
nice.
That's more my style.
Yeah. And then I took it in, and I got like a $5,000 stereo system in it, and this thing just blew the doors off of everything. Oh my God, it was so fun.
My finance guy loved that.
Exactly.
Now, Rich, I know you really will. This is why I'm calling. Don't go out and spend $190K just because you just won the PGA.
I got one last question before we wrap up, and it pertains to caddies. My friend who actually caddies in tour, who he told me if all the players, the top 100 in the world, went out and played a full season without caddies, he said they'd pretty much all still be in the same positions. He doesn't think he is that important to the professional game. And I went,
but he's happy to be there.
That's actually a very interesting statement. No, I don't agree with that. I think there are players that would seriously fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's guys that wouldn't happen to know where their tees are in their golf bag. I don't think that they would understand how to pack their golf bag. I don't think that they would understand that you need like 9 golf balls.
9 for the whole week?
Per round. Come on.
Oh, shocking.
Don't worry.
I seriously
taking a cart this week. Don't worry.
I seriously think there are players out there that wouldn't have any idea of how to pack their golf bag.
I believe it because that's all they've known, right? Their whole career. That's all they've known.
I don't think that there are definitely players that have no idea what's in their golf bag.
I could agree with that statement based on what we say.
Yeah. I knew how to unpack Coulthard's bag. That's for sure.
Exactly. Our golf bag is packed for this week, by the way.
Perfect.
Yeah,
nice little cart. Well, it charged up.
Yep, absolutely.
You were the one that said. He says, you said we're taking a cart. So
Beautiful.
I'm easy, though.
Yeah.
It's a nice new bag.
Oh, I have a great new bag. Great new bag.
It's going to look great on that cart.
Now, I don't really care what the bag is packed with, but you realize that since you have a golf cart, there's a lot of space in there that needs to be packed up too, correct?
Yes.
There's a lot of space that needs to be filled.
Yes, I understand.
Coolers, ice.
I understand.
Yes.
I
and you
understand my
understand
job.
exactly where I'm going with this, correct?
I understand my job.
The first 2 days, we're going to be playing with people that we know that like to be entertained. And the last day, we're at Spyglass, and it really doesn't matter at that point in time because...
But we are trying to win, surely.
We're trying to win what? Win?
Like, it can be packed, but...
Yes, my wife is giving thumbs up like yes. She's thinking to herself, yes, we're trying to win that place that gets us home on that 4:15 flight on Sunday without having to Yes.
Yep, make the cut.
Yeah, we're making the cut. We have to go out there.
Listen, we got the up tees too.
Exactly.
It's true.
We have the up tees.
The way you heard it, I watched them in the range yesterday. He's bombing driver.
If of all the years as of right now, I feel the best about my game that I ever have coming.
Good.
That I ever have coming here by a long shot.
Hey, Beemer's back.
I'll be like, I'll just pour a soda and say, vodka soda, here's another one. This is nice. No. We're going to win this. We're going to wrap things up. Notable mention, Zabbo. Anyone you want to say hello to?
Got to shout out Beemer. Thanks for coming back. It's good to see you in person. Last time was on Zoom, so it was good to actually do an in-person podcast. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I get a shout out to somebody.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to shout out to, and I don't remember their names because that's just really not that important. But you remember the guys with your group last year, the Caddies.
Big Tony.
Oh, Big Tony. We love Big
Al
Tony.
Spillino.
Yeah.
Big Al.
Yeah.
Bob Burke.
Yes, those guys. They have to put up with the biggest degenerates of all time.
Oh, okay. Are they caddying for him again? And you're going to
No, they're not here this year.
Oh, they're here this year.
Okay. No, thankfully.
Those are the guys that brought the girl to play the guitar and sing.
Oh, that's right.
And the drones.
That's it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, did the video, which was a great video, by the way.
No, I never saw it.
Oh, you haven't seen it? I'll show it to you tomorrow.
Yeah, please do.
I'll show it tomorrow. It's awesome. Cool. Yeah, they spent like $2,000 on this guy to come out there for the drones.
They hired a guy.
Hired a guy for 5 hours to come out there and took drone shots of us hitting shots off of number 7, 6. I mean, it was professionally done. It was really, really
that's classic.
Cool.
No, it was good stuff.
And the very beginning of it you're gonna laugh your face off tomorrow when you see it. The very beginning of the video, you're like,
yeah,
these jackasses.
Yeah, no, they were something else. But
they're
not here.
Something else.
They're not here this year, so that's why I was thinking he's got a chance of winning it.
Yeah, there you go.
You know,
well, you haven't seen the guys from Pennsylvania yet, so they're quite the same.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to thank you and Sarah for coming over. Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Also, a big shout out to
big shout out to Bear.
Oh, the bear. Oh, legend.
Oh, the Bear. Oh my gosh, I love your
Beemer fell in love with Bear.
I did. Bear's gonna be babysitted by Bailey later on this weekend.
I need to shout out all the boys from Arizona. So it's a Chris Hislop, and he had the first annual Hislop Drive for a Cure, and that was in aid of his father died of prostate cancer, and he felt compelled to organise a golf tournament, and that's what myself and Cody went out to Scottsdale for. It was fantastic. We had a great time. Well done. He's known as Hilo. A shout out to Jojo Anderson, Rich Sparks, all the rest of the guys that were there. It was a fun time. If you are in that Phoenix, Scottsdale area and you're interested, definitely check out the Hislop Drive for a Cure. You'll find, just Google search it. They're already organising things for next year, and I will have him on the podcast to talk about that at some point. So That brings us to an end. Zabbo, thanks for your time as always.
Thank you.
Richard, thank you very much for your time.
Richard, wow, the only time I get that means I'm in trouble. It's not a good start.
And for all the listeners, thanks for your time. Make sure to get back. Check out the previous episodes. You can check out Richie's from back in March of 2022. Any questions, comments, feedback, check us out on social media, Glorified Donkey. Any comments, etc., email it in, podcast@glorifieddonkey.com. Until the next time, folks, enjoy your golf, but more importantly, keep it humble.